Hi everyone, it's Tiro here, and welcome to the first episode of my podcast. Before starting my podcast and moving on to analyzations of the songs that I've chosen, I wanted to talk about why I'm making this podcast. And the main reason I'm making this podcast is that because this is my MYP personal project. And if I want to continue to IB, I have to do this. And I wanted to do a podcast because I have always wanted to know how a podcast is made and how it's recorded and what you have to do to create a podcast. In my podcast, I will be analyzing 8 songs, so this will be an 8-episode podcast. And today's song is My Tears Ricochet by Taylor Swift. But before moving on to that one, if you want to hear from me more and listen to the other 7 episodes, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Okay, now with the analyzation of the song, sadly I won't be able to play the song for you, but I have the lyrics with me, so we'll read those and continue. Okay, the first lines of the song is, "We gather here, we line up, weeping in a sunlit room." Honestly, this just generally gives us the image of a funeral. We gather here because you usually gather for funerals. We gather here, we're weeping, we're sad that something died. Something or someone died. If I'm on fire, you'll be made of ashes too. Which this generally means that if something happens to me, if I am fire, then you're ashes. And in this case, fire resembles something that can hurt someone, that can affect someone. So if I'm fire, you're ashes. If something happens to me, you're getting affected by it too. Of course, we don't know who you here is right now, but we can also think who you can be, which I'm going to talk about. And then we continue with, "Even on my worst day, did I deserve, babe, all the hell you gave me?" This means that even on my worst day, even when I was at my lowest, even I couldn't keep up with this anymore, the things that you did to me was even worse. So this is a rhetorical question, by the way. Did I deserve, babe, all the hell you gave me? Hell usually resembles something that is terrible, something that is bad. So Taylor is basically asking, you did so much to me, did I deserve this? Even though when I was bad, did I deserve this? And then she continues to justify this rhetorical question, "'Cause I loved you, I swear I loved you, till my dying day." She says that, I loved you so much. I loved you a lot. I loved you till my dying day, which basically means that I loved you through my whole life. And I swear I loved you, which just, again, backs it up, which can also give us the idea of an argument, I swear I loved you, I did this, I swear I did that. So we can get the idea that Taylor and the person that she's talking to, or the thing that she's talking to, or the people that she's talking to were kind of in an argument. I swear I loved you, I swear. And right now is also a great time to tell, what does my tears ricochet mean? My tears, of course, Taylor's crying, which generally something made Taylor feel bad or sad that she started crying. Ricochet generally means that bouncing off of something. So when you bounce off of something, you actually affect the thing that you bounce from too. For example, if bullets bounce off, bullets ricochet, it affects the thing that it goes to. Now this is, after that, there's a phrase that has been repeated throughout the whole song a couple of times. "I didn't have it in myself to go with grace." And honestly, go with grace is just a general term. I didn't have it in myself to go with grace. I didn't want to go with Grace. I wanted to take revenge. As she said in the back, like, did I deserve this? I loved you, did I deserve this? It hurts her so much that she wanted to hurt the person, the people, or the thing that hurt her back. So that's why she didn't go with Grace. She wanted to do something to them, and something that is not positive, and something that is like negative, which can also be like an argument. Maybe negative isn't the way to put it out, but like I wanted to talk about it. Like, I wanted to fight for it. We can also think about those too. And you're the hero flying around saving face. This basically says that, like, oh yeah, you're the hero that is flying around saving face. Saving face is just basically means that you're trying to save your own reputation after something that has happened to you. For example, if, let's say you got in a fight with your best friend, and your best friend is trying to save face, trying to save herself by putting out blame to you, or putting out blame to different people. And most of the time, if she's like trying to save her face or save his face, she or he or them is the main reason why this argument happened, and they're the wrong side. And if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake? Now, this basically says that if I'm dead to you, like you said that, like, oh, you're dead to me, I'm done with you, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Which just generally means that, like, I cut you off from my life, I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to do anything with you. I'm going to act like you don't even exist. I'm dead, like you're dead to me. Which basically makes us understand that the person that Taylor was arguing, or the person, that person said that, oh, you're dead to me, I'm not going to talk to you anymore, like, I'm done with you. But Taylor asks again a rhetorical question. Why are you at the wake? Like, why are you still trying to talk to me? Why are you still trying to make a connection with me? Like, she's asking, like, why aren't you acting as if I were dead? I didn't exist. Which basically gives us the idea that the person that Taylor was arguing does still want to talk to Taylor, or them just don't want to cut Taylor off. Cursing my name, wishing I stayed. And like, this is more information about their why are you at the wake part. Like, they're asking, oh, why didn't you stay, Taylor? You should have stayed with me, which basically gives the idea that something was torn apart. A relationship was torn apart. And a relationship can be a romantic relationship, a business relationship, which we're going to get to that in a second. Or just like a friendship, like the example that I gave you way back. And if we were to continue, cursing my name, which basically means like cursing, like you're screaming, like, which this is a great example of an imagery. Like, you're cursing someone's name. Like, you're like, oh my God, why did you leave me? You curse someone's name when you're really mad at them. So the person that Taylor argued with is probably mad at Taylor for doing something. That he was so mad that he had to cut her off. But he didn't want to cut her off, and he actually really loved Taylor. So he's wishing that she stayed with him. But again, he cut him off. He cut her off. I'm so sorry. and now is just cursing her name and can't do anything other than cursing her name and wishing that she stayed. Look at how my tears ricochet. Again, this brings us back to the title of the song, My Tears Ricochet, which means that like my tears, my sadness, my emotions affect others too, because they're bouncing off of something, and when they're bounced, they affect the thing that they bounced from. And this line basically says that look at how my tears ricochet. Look at how my emotions, how my sadness affected you too. Which, I mean, if you look from the first two parts that we analyzed, that the argument is still continuing. Yeah. And like the argument can be something that, first happened face to face, but after that, like, for example, in these parts, it just continued without talking. Like, they argued with each other, and they're like, oh my god, why did she leave? Cursing her name, and then she's sad, so her tears are ricocheting, which affected the other person too. Okay, now we have an interesting part. We gather stones, never knowing what they'll mean. Some to throw, some to make a diamond ring. And this, I think, throughout the whole song is the hardest and the most important lyric to analyze. When I first listened to the song, I actually really didn't understand the song, but if we were to think, like, really generally, yes, like, we do gather stones. There are, like, different types of stones throughout the whole world, and some of them we just toss them out, we don't like them. But some of them we actually really like them, and we create a diamond ring, which is very valuable. So, there's something that is very valuable, and there's also something that is not so very valuable to our eyes, but actually comes from the same thing, like same type of material from the valuable one, which is the rocks. I'm sorry, the stones. So this is generally a metaphor, because since this song is mostly metaphorically an argument between Taylor and something, someone, or some people, so it's safe to assume that maybe the stones can be people. Like, there are people that we toss, and there are people that we praise and like create something that is very valuable. But it can also be like our choices too, or the effect of our choices on other people. Like, we do things that are not so very important, not so very valuable. Like, it can be like everyday choices. And we do some choices that are important, which can result in, tossing out or, creating a diamond ring. If we were to think from Taylor's perspective in this point, like when she was first signing her record deal with Big Machine Records, which I'm going to get back to, she did make a choice. Like, she made a choice to sign with that record label. And as we learned from Journey to Fearless, her documentary, she actually wanted to sign Big Machine Records. Big Machine Records, she waited for them. So, she created a choice that resulted in both something that is extremely valuable, which is, of course, her work, her fame, like her first 6 albums, but it also resulted in something that is not so very valuable and something that can be tossed, like general stones that we find on the beach, which are not positive, but can also be negative, because you toss negative things out too. But if we were to think about the contrast between these two, like she does have an album. She does have 6 albums. Of course, these albums like resulted in something great. It resulted in her becoming famous, her putting out her songs to the whole entire world, and it's also a way of communicating her feelings. And these feelings, of course, these were the things that created amazing things. But the other thing is that she also lost ownership to these songs when she left her then record label, Big Machine Records. So the choices can resemble that. And like she tossed that choice around, and now she's angry that she can't have her albums back. Okay, let's continue, and maybe we can come back to that after we analyze a few more lyrics. You know, I didn't want to have to haunt you, but what a ghostly scene. This basically means that, like, haunting something. Ghosts usually haunt stuff. And when we, like, look at ghost stories, they're hunting something because they have unfinished business. So they want to finish that business. And if we were to come to Taylor's situation in this part, her unfinished business is like not owning her first 6 albums. So she has to haunt the person that owns her albums. I mean, back when she wrote the song, which was 2020. So she has to haunt them to actually finish her business. And if we were to continue, you were the same jewels that I gave you as you bury me. Okay, again, throughout the whole song, there's this kind of like death, funeral type of imagery and most themes. I want to look at the second line, as you bury me. Like, you bury something metaphorically and also real, in the real meaning. But I think she is not dead, literally dead. This is a metaphor. Like, you bury me. What happens when you bury something? The thing that happens is, of course, like, you finish everything with them. You cut them off, and like you bury them. So you can bury something into your like mindset, and like you can bury something to forget that it ever happened. So the person that Taylor was arguing with, is burying Taylor in deep. So he's done with Taylor and he wants to forget and move on from this Taylor situation. Which again comes back to the main reason, like their cut contact. Now, it also says you wear the same jewels that I gave you as you bury me, which basically means that when you're burying me, you're actually doing it with stuff that I gave you, that I were the reason that you got. For example, in this situation, Taylor doesn't own the first 6 albums. So the owner from the 6 albums is burying Taylor while making profit of her work. So he still has the jewels that Taylor gave him, which are her albums and her songs and her everything, while he buries her. He tries to forget her and he's trying to move on from the situation. Again, she says, I didn't have it in myself to go with grace. And after that, we have a new lyric, because when I'd fight, you used to tell me I was brave. This lyric actually shows us that they had a great relationship back then. Like, they didn't have a bad relationship all the time. They also had a good relationship. Like, when I used to fight, which means that Taylor also was in conflict
before they didn't start to argue, and like he would support her. She would fight against those people, and so he would support her. I'm sorry. Which again generally shows us that they weren't all. They didn't always have a terrible relationship. Again, it says, if I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake? Cursing my name, wishing I stayed, look at how my tears ricochet. Now we move on to the bridge part of the song, and I think this is the most important part of the song because that's when you actually feel the song at the highest extent. I mean, you feel the song throughout the whole, lyrics and all that, but choruses and verses. But during the bridge, you can actually understand it, and it hits you. And I can go anywhere I want, just not home. As you guys can see that there's repetition here, like anywhere I want. And like when in this repetition, you can actually understand that she's trying to emphasize something, that I would rather go to anywhere in the world, just not home. And home here is not like her real home, but metaphorically speaking, which can be the person that she's arguing with, or the place that she recorded her first 6 albums, or the owner of those first 6 albums now. She's basically saying that I don't want to go back to home, which can also mean that she experienced terrible memories at home. Which can mean that the tailor and the person that she was arguing with argued at home. So that place can resemble many things, like the place that she recorded her first 6 albums can resemble her first 6 albums, can resemble the person that owns her first 6 albums. Because like when you're speaking of home, and to quote another Taylor Swift song on this, home is where the heart is, from, Lover, album Lover, song London Boy. She basically means that she really liked home before it got messy. And she actually really enjoyed home. But then it got messy and she experienced a lot of bad things at home. So she doesn't want to go back to home and experience those memories ever again. So she's basically saying that I'm up for anything else in the world, which can be worse than home, but just not home, Which we can also understand that home did not affect her. Home just did not affect her physically or like economically, or it affected her very much mentally. Let's continue. And you can aim for my heart, go for blood. This means that like you aim at her heart, like it says that you can kill me. You can kill me, and like I don't care. You can aim for my heart, you can go for blood. Which basically means that you can do everything to me. And continuing with that, it says, but you would still miss me in your bones. This can lead to 2 different paths, because like miss can mean like, oh, I miss them so much they live in a different country now, or can lead to something like, I miss the Target. So if Taylor was talking about the Target situation, then it means that like you can't kill me. I'm strong, and like you can do anything, but you can't not defeat me in any shape or form. But for the second part, like, oh, you would still miss me in your bones, which means that you can kill me, you can do anything to me, but those things don't change the fact, your actions don't change the fact that you actually really still very much miss me. And what do you miss? You miss something that you love, that you care for, or that still has sentimental value for you. So the person Taylor is arguing with still cares for her, still loves her, and still is like, oh my god, I miss her so much. But they didn't admit this because Taylor says, but you would still miss me in your bones. So Taylor is making the statement. So they didn't make the statement. Taylor's making the statement. And she's saying, like, you would still miss me in your bones. You still love me. And continuing with that, and I still talk to you when I'm screaming at the sky. Okay, till this point, it really was like, you miss me, you love me, like, very much you. But now we can see something that is that has the perspective of I. Like, and I still talk to you, which basically means that Taylor still cares for that person too. Again, this relationship can be like business, friendship, or like a relationship, a romantic relationship. Basically saying that I miss you, and like I look at the sky. And screaming at the sky, when you say this, you actually think about nighttime. And during nighttime, what are there on the skies? There are stars in the skies. So Taylor's basically still looking at the stars, trying to find that star or that person, which can make the stars like resemble people. She still looks at people, but they're not the same as you. And when you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen lullabies. And like you tell a baby a lullaby when they cannot sleep. So if the person that Taylor argued with, because like she changed back to them again, like you can't sleep at night. When they cannot sleep at night, they usually think about Taylor's lullabies, like the things that Taylor told them before this relationship didn't go downhill. And what can the things that Taylor told them be? Like Taylor can tell them like lullabies as in music or her masters or her albums, which just generally gives the theme of betrayal in the song. You betrayed me. So, like, when they cannot sleep, they remember Taylor's lullabies, Taylor's songs, but these things are stolen. So, if they were not stolen, they could have helped you sleep at night. But if they're stolen, then it won't help you sleep at night. In fact, it will actually affect you. And you wouldn't be able to like sleep at night. And after this, the bridge ends. So let's continue on with the other. After that, it says like I didn't have it in myself to go with grace, and so the battleships will sink beneath the waves. I mean, this again gives the metaphor of like there's a fight, there's a battle going on, and what do you do a fight or a battle for? You do it to have something, to accomplish something. Like you did a battle for that, you did a battle for this. But before that, it says like I didn't have it in myself to go with grace, and so the battleships will sink beneath the waves. So she says that I didn't have it in myself to go with grace, so I caused this battle. I could have just stayed quiet and didn't say anything, but I didn't want to stay quiet. I wanted to fight. That's why there was this battle, which caused battleships to sink beneath the waves. Why did the waves happen? It's because of battleships. Because they're fighting. And battleships, what can battleships symbolize? For me, I think it can symbolize Taylor and the person that she battled with. They battled, as in battleships. They battled as battleships, which created waves. And it says that battleships will sink beneath the waves. And when battleships sink beneath the waves, it means that they lost. But from this lyric, we don't actually understand like who won or who lost, but we can understand that there was a fight going on. You had to kill me, but it killed you just the same. Okay, now we understand who was killed, who sunk. It says that, like, Taylor says that, like, you had to kill me. You had to do something to me. So again, the person, like, says they're trying to save face. So they kill Taylor. Which makes, like, her battleship sink beneath the waves. But doing this also hurt them as much as it hurt Taylor. Like, her tears ricocheted, her sadness affected other people, and then he actually got back. And after that, you turned into your worst fears. It doesn't say, like, I turned into your worst fears. You turned into your worst fears. I mean, from this we can understand, like, the Taylor and the person that she was arguing with, like, they were friends. They weren't enemies. They weren't nemesis. So, you turned into... If it said, like, I turned into your worst fears, then we could have understand that. But you turned into your worst fears, maybe the person that did all of this actually couldn't believe themselves that they actually did this. They didn't believe that somebody was capable of doing something like this. So their worst fears could be like something doing equally as bad. And while doing something that was equally as bad, to Taylor, they didn't know that they were doing something bad. But after all of the battles and the battleship sunk, they found out that, oh, I did something terrible, which we can understand that they regretted. And they also said, like, cursing your name, wishing you stayed. Again, there's just general emotion of regret throughout the whole song from the person's perspective. So they turned into their worst fears by that. And to the last part of the song, and after that, like, we can do a quick little recap. And you're tossing out blame, drunk on this pain. Okay, at the start of the song, it says, like, you're the hero saving face. She doesn't use negative vocabulary when she was talking about that in the start of the song. But during the end of the song, she says that you're tossing out blame. You're drunk on this pain. Like, drunk, tossing out pain, blame, which basically says the same thing. Like, you're saving your face, but in different words, which can emphasize that they didn't want to do this. Like, they regret this. They're tossing out blame. They're doing something bad to, like, do something in retaliation and do something that will, like, make it better, I guess. Crossing out the good years. And while they're doing it, they're actually forgetting the good years that they had with Taylor. Because, like, crossing out the good years, what can that mean? Like, they had good years with Taylor, right? So they're crossing those years. And, like, they're saying that, oh, that never happened, blah, blah, blah. But they're actually doing something bad, and they're actually deleting something good off of their memory too. And it ends with, like, and you're cursing my name, wishing I stayed, look at how my tears ricochet. Again, there's a sense of regret. And for the last time, Taylor emphasized how her emotions, how her sadness, how her tears affected other people, like, ricocheted off things. to do a like quick recap, we can say that this is about her and her ex record label, Big Machine Records, and how her records how her masters, I'm so sorry, were sold without her knowing it. I mean, this basically means that, like, you still miss me, I still miss you, like, we still couldn't get over each other, but you did something terrible to me, and, like, you now regret it. You're wishing that I stayed with you. So this is generally a door to Taylor's feelings about her masters being sold without her knowledge. And other than that, I have nothing to say. Hope you enjoyed the first episode of my podcast. And if you have anything other to say, maybe your ideas, you can comment down below and I'll make sure to respond to them. Thank you for listening, and once again, if you want to hear from me more, subscribe to this YouTube channel. See you soon. Bye.